Hi. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of my podcast. Now, what was I talking about? My name is V Noir, and this week I'm talking a bit about Can't Hardly Wait and just in general thinking about kind of the death of this style of movie. I was thinking about doing like a bigger, well, not bigger, but like in general, getting into my YouTube video essay era and making like sort of a, well, I mean, it would be an essay, yeah, about the history of these kinds of films and thinking about how they're not as popular or as promoted in the public eye as larger blockbuster movies that are no longer summer blockbusters but are shown throughout the year because Disney Marvel. Um like honestly that would be at the end of the day that is the reason that I think these sort of mid-tier low budget or mid-tier B movies aren't as aren't given as much shine uh and it's kind of because of Marvel, but I will say I it's not that they don't exist, it's just like what I was kind of explaining to someone else is like because these movies, these like sort of mid-tier movies that are very casual, very like day in a life, uh romantic comedy esque. Um, they come out, they have their little theatrical run, but if at the same time a big Marvel, Disney, whatever big blockbuster hit is about to come out or does come out, something that should have been, because usually movies are given at least like a month in theaters before they move on, maybe a little bit longer, because sometimes there's like a limited release of something, and then they're depending on the distributors or whatever, they're able to expand that release to more theaters. And so it could live in theaters for a little longer than a month, but it depends on if those places already had them. And if it's gonna be if those what word am I looking for? If those whatever. Like it'll depend. Like either because right now, as an example, the teenage sex and death at Camp Misa Sma, it was only playing in San Francisco, which is a little inconvenient for me now because I live in Oakland, but it's getting expanded and pushed out to other theaters in that I can actually have more access to over here in Oakland. Right. And it was already out for like maybe 2 weeks or so on a limited run, and then it got pushed out to more theaters, as an example. And I'm like, those are like, and this is me paying attention to a director and their sort of their their God, I can't word right now. Their just what they plan on releasing. So, because otherwise, I don't think I would have really known about this because I don't there wasn't too many advertisements I was seeing for it. Like I really just had to know. And that was mainly because I follow them on Twitter, which now they want to leave because people were being mean and rude to them for some reason. I didn't fully know what this drama was, but I guess somebody had accused them of having like a fart fetish or something. And I just took that as a joke because their tweet was like, no, I don't have a fart fetish. I'm gonna leave this app. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I thought they were joking. I thought that was a joke. And then they haven't, I don't think they've tweeted since. I'm going to look right now. Yeah, I don't see any new tweets from them. Their last tweet was on August 14th. Um, and basically, here's what they said. Have been looking for a nice, clean moment to announce that I'm quitting Twitter, and friends, it has finally arrived. Fact check, I do not have a fart fetish. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And Twitter metrics are so bizarre to me because there was 300,000 people that saw this. It only got 7,000 likes and 101 comments, which I left a comment because I was like, oh, if this is really the case, uh, you are big major inspo, because there's someone who is non-binary trans, and they're making their movies and they're staying in their lane. I mean, they've already expressed that it sucks that it kind of feels like they've been pigeonholed into this like thing of being the only trans like non-binary director right now, which fucking sucks, because it's like Hollywood can only handle one, right? And then if there's any other variant of that one, mm, it can't be possible, right? Because at the end of the day, they are still someone who is very much a white person, navigating these spaces. So it's like, uh, anyway. And I mean, TV Glow wasn't even like their first movie either. They made, let me look up. Um, Also, their handle is Sapphic Spielberg. I love that. That's amazing. Um, I'm laughing because there's something silly going on. On Twitter. I'm like, I'm addicted to that space. One day I'll leave that hellscape. I'm like, wait a minute. What was I even trying to do? No, but I was gonna say she, only because their name is very feminine, Jane. So that was my mistake. I'm like, other trans people get it wrong too. It's it's not that big of a deal. But I felt like they had a few other, yeah, 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 there we go. There we go. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So I can only assume that they're short. The school is watching from 2015, according to IMDb at least. Um, I can only assume that's maybe like right out of film school. Um, they made their more directorial debut in 2018 with a full length movie called A Self-Induced Hallucination. And that has higher ratings than TV Glow actually, which is interesting. What is this about? Horror experimental documentary. Ooh, that's kind of fun. Oh my God, I should totally do something like that. That's so up my alley. It's about the internet and it's quite strange, is all it says for the descriptor. Ew. I need IMDb to stop showing me what looks like AI generated films that are coming out. Like, actually, don't show me that ever again. Like, actually, stop. Like, no, 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 no. Oh, he looks so different. Okay, now I'm on the So I was gonna talk about Can't Hardly Wait. I already expressed that. And it was funny because I really couldn't remember if I had actually seen this movie or if I was remembering points from this movie because not another teen movie parodies this film. Like it takes plot points from this film in order to create the plot of Not Another Teen Movie. And Not Another Teen Movie is a film that I do love a lot. It definitely pays homage to a ton of classic teen movies, but it mainly takes its plot from this movie, She's All That, 10 Things I Hate About You, Pretty in Pink, and Varsity Blues, which Varsity Blues is the only one that I haven't actually seen of that lineup from plot. And I'm like, I think I think because there is this whole jock character and everything going on with him as the main person. And oh my god, it's so funny because um me when I initially watched this film, because a lot of the movies I watched growing up mainly came on television, or and I was kind of thinking about this earlier. It was like, oh wait, yeah, I wasn't really going out to the movies to see the latest things. I was getting like the bootleg, or like my mom would get the bootleg of something and that's how I watched it, because I was thinking about it and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't actually remember watching any of those like parody films that came out. Like I think I watched Scary Movie on Comedy Central. Realize I watch a lot of Comedy Central. I like laughing. But it is funny because I was thinking about the Not Another Superhero parody film or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't see that in theaters. I think we had the bootleg of that, and that's how I watched it. But yeah, it is funny because I remember watching Not Another Teen Movie, and I definitely watched She's All of That. But before I had more of like a pulse to how I understood Chris Evans. I thought him and Freddie Prinze Jr. were like the same person. So I was like, oh, that's so interesting that he would star in a movie that is parodying a different movie that he was in. Like, wow, that's like crazy. But I know what those two people look like separately. It was really because, they're white and they have black hair. It was like, I couldn't there wasn't distinguishing enough factors for me, but it's like Freddie Prinze Jr. Now know him as like humanized Fred because he was in the Scooby Doo movies. So I'm like, yeah, I have an attachment to him in that way because yes, I love Scooby Doo. Scooby Doo is great. Um, but yeah, so to get into Can't Hardly Wait. It came out in 1998. It is about a oh my gosh, how long is this synopsis? Da, 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 da. Okay, there's a bunch of different ones I see. Don't like that. I'm gonna go back. So, a complete graduating class consisting of beautiful girls, geeks, and promising footballers assemble at a rich classmate's residence for a party. Interesting developments follow at the get together. So, it's definitely my favorite kind of movie where it's, you take a bunch of people. It doesn't have to be a bunch of people, but you take a bunch of people, it's kind of an ensemble cast. Something happens over the course of a night, and at the end of it, people are changed either for the good or the bad. It's also only an hour, 40 minutes. Um, where do I think we watched it on Tubi. Yeah, it's on Tubi. I'm like, Tubi got bangers. But I'm like, I need people to sleep on Tubi though, because I feel like the more people are on that, the terrible the stream is, which is annoying. But I'm like, it is what it is. So it was written and directed by Deborah Kaplan and Harry Elfront, who are a creative duo. They also made, I'm like, where is she? Where is she? They also made Josie and the Pussycat Dolls. Wait, what? The Pussycat Dolls. Josie and the Pussycats. They made that film together. And yeah, she hasn't really. They both haven't really been doing much since 2010. But I was like, oh, okay, that kind of feels in realm with a level of camp that this movie is. And so, and it's like I kind of have to compare Can't Hardly Wait to Not Another Teen Movie because I'm like, Not Another Teen Movie does such a good job of taking from these plots because it's just like, okay, so the main guy is in love with this girl. Let's just say woman. They're all supposed to be teenagers. Is in love with this girl who just broke up with her boyfriend, who's a jock, and she's just like, I don't know, and I don't know what to do with my life. Can't believe this happened. And he has been in love with her since like freshman year. And that's one plot. The main guy, I'm like, wait, what were their names again? Da, 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 da. Names, because there's a lot. There's a lot of people that we're following actually. And what's funny about watching this too is like a lot of like before they were famous, people are in this. Like Jason Segel plays like a pothead in this randomly. Um, who else is in this? So many people. Like, oh my God, talk about ensemble. Like Seth Green is one of the main people. Jennifer Love Hewitt plays the popular girl that Preston has a crush on. Preston is the character name, but Ethan Embry is the actor. So Preston in love with Amanda. He has a best friend, Denise, who they used to date, but they plan on going to this house party uh, or he plans on going to this house party. She's pissy about that because she was like, I thought we weren't going to do that. Everybody just graduated, by the way. So, and he plans on leaving the state because he has an opportunity somewhere else with his college or whatever. Amanda used to date Mike. Mike is played by Feeder Peter Finencielli, who I mainly know him as Carlisle from the Twilight movies, but he was also in Nurse Jackie. He's still acting, he still does stuff. Um when I was watching this with my roommate, they were just like, "Oh, he broke up with Amanda because he's gay and he's trying to be gay with all these people." And sadly, that's not what the plot point was, but essentially he had it in his mind that he should break up with his high school girlfriend because when he gets to college, he will, be tempted by all of these college women and just be swimming in pussy basically. And so he was like, let me just break up. And I'm like, that's kind of, at least he was being thoughtful, I guess, because otherwise I'm like, I feel like other people would just still keep the high school girlfriend and then just cheat on her in college. But he's like, I want to sleep around and I'm just going to break up with you. And I'm like, okay, I guess. And he tries to convince his other friends to break up, which is hella funny. Um, and they're like, yeah, no, we actually enjoy having our girlfriends. And it's so funny because I'm like, God, what is his name? Ooh, burp, burp, burp. Da, 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 da. If I can remember the actor's name. I wish they put everybody near each other. But it's so interesting all these people are now like in their 50s. It's crazy. Uh yes, there we go. Okay. Cuz one of the jocks that is friends with Mike is black, and it's Sean Patrick Thomas, who was during this time especially someone who would be kind of the only black character in a predominantly white movie. And he was in Cruel Intentions, he was in Save the Last Dance, he was in this, and actually, funny enough, and that is referenced in Not Another Teen Movie as well. Is like there can only be one, and I think he does a parody in that too. Let me double check that though, because I'm like either he does a parody or somebody else does a parody. Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the credit is the other token black guy. That's so fucking funny. And so he, funnily enough, there are like plenty of, there's him and Donald Faison, who plays a drummer in like this band that's at the house party. And I'm like, damn, y'all are, it's kind of crazy in there. But not only those two, but there is also just a good amount of background characters who are also black. And even with Sean Patrick Thomas, his girlfriend is also black. And I'm like, yeah, they would always pair the black people together, which there's nothing wrong with that. But now it's like, now it feels intentional that people are mm, pushing, not pushing, but it's kind of weird, the sort of like mixed race of it all, because I'm like, I'm someone who's light skinned, who has a dark skinned um parent and a light skinned parent, and I'm like, that does happen. Like that does happen. But for some reason, dark skin, it's like rather than having dark skin, light skin, and then a light skinned child, it's like white and then a black parent and then a light skinned child. It's weird to see happen. And I'm like, that was never my lived reality. But mixed people exist. That is something that happens, but it is weird to see um the opposite not happen, of like, just black, because I'm like, we come in all shades no matter what. It's weird when the things being shown on television only show one kind of option that could happen. It's weird. But what was I even saying? So, oh my God, yeah, Melissa Joan Hart was in this, just being a yearbook girl, or they're calling her that on the Wikipedia, where she was just trying to get everyone to sign her fucking yearbook, because she's like, no, just sign it for me, because I want to, look back on this, and everybody was being so rude to her. And okay. So we have the main guy, Preston. He's trying to, give this note to Amanda and, essentially maybe start dating her. We have Seth Green and his gaggle of, my roommate was calling them wiggers, and I really don't like that word at all, but that's essentially what these people are. And then we have the jocks and their mission, and then we have these nerdy people who who are also trying to do something as well. They Murder She Wrote. Sorry, I'm looking at Wikipedia's. But yeah, those are like the three main groups of people that we're following, who are trying to accomplish something during this party, right? We have Mike trying to get his buddies to break up with their girlfriends. That doesn't succeed. And then he runs into someone. This happens later on in the movie, but he runs into someone who was like a high school legend, um, who is talking about college and talking about how he regrets breaking up with his girlfriend, how all college girls want is like older men, and how he's actually miserable because college is just a lot of work and he's just not prepared. He's like, I miss high school. I miss my high school girlfriend. And then he tries to ask Mike, what's going on with him and his girlfriend. And then Mike turns around and tries to get back with Amanda, and then Amanda publicly rejects him. And then after that, all of these people start showing up and try to ask her out. Well, not even ask her out. They try to fuck her. It's so weird. And it comes to a point because at some point, Preston, and I'm like, let me just finish the storyline rather than like jumping back and forth. Because it's like it's all interwoven with each other and you're kind of jumping around. So you're not like super bored on like what's going on, but you're like in the back of your head, you're like, oh, I wonder what's going on with those guys. And then you switch back to that. So with Preston, he had left the party. He tried to give the note to her. Barry Manilow was playing. He was like, "Oh, Mandy, there's a sign. This is a sign from the universe." And he tries to call the radio station, and this woman who was dressed like an angel gives him some advice after hanging up on the phone. So then he goes back to the party. He finds her, but he finds her after this whole thing with Mike happens. So he's like, "I love you." And she's like, I'm tired of men shit. Rejects his ass, pushes him in the pool, and his note kind of just is floating around. Or actually, no, she had read his note at that point and she was looking for him, but she actually doesn't know what he looks like. She finds Melissa Joan Hart's character, looks through the yearbook, and then realizes what she did when she sees his photo. And she's like, oh, fuck, I fucked that. Um, and their resolution happens the very next day. But I'll go back. So we have the jocks. I already explained that. He's unsuccessful. Preston, that whole thing. Seth Green's character is just trying to get laid. He's a virgin. He's trying to, he's doing that weird it's not even like a black accent. I don't even know what the fuck. He's just talking weird. And he has friends that do that too. And you know what? Honestly, I guess it was a black scent for that time period. And so he gets locked in a bathroom with Denise's character, and they kind of have a heart to heart. Because apparently they also used to be really good friends, but then he wanted to hang out with the cool kids. She gets him to stop talking like this, because yeah, fuck that shit. And they eventually have sex, but it's like more intimate and casual. It's his first time, but not hers. And she's like, oh, it could have lasted a little longer. And then he gets a little pissy about it. And then they are freed from the bathroom. And then their thing, they kind of resolve as well. And they make up at the end of the night. Oh, and then with the nerds, so one guy, William, played by Charlie Corsmo. Corsmo. I didn't name anybody else actually. Now that I think about it, or at least I didn't name Denise, who is played by Lauren Ambrose. Which what else is she in? I'm like, she looks so good. Um, oh, that was in 2019, but she still looks good. Oh, she's been married since 2001. What else has she done? She's a redhead still. She was in Yellow Jackets, which I know is a good show, but I don't have what what Showtime. I don't have Showtime, so wasn't watching that. And she's done Broadway. Okay, she's like super active. Okay, okay. She's doing well for herself. I love that. I love to see it. Anyway, going back to Will, so he is fed up with Mike and his bullying. So him and a few other friends decide to team up. Will goes into the house party to try to get Mike to come out because basically the two guys are on top of the pool house and they plan on ambushing um, Mike and whoever Will gets to go out with him to the pool house and chloroform them and then kind of put them in a compromising position, sort of simulating that they might be gay or whatever. I'm like, that's fucked up. Uh, but it's supposed to be like payback. I'm like, that's. But anyway, so what ends up happening is that Will gets really, really fucking drunk, and that kind of loosens him all the way up. And he ends up being like the cool guy in the house party. Everybody loves him. Everybody's wanting to kiss him and stuff. He, during there's the band that's at the house party. They break up temporarily, and somebody starts playing, um, Paradise City by Guns N' Roses, and he ends up doing like a karaoke-esque singing of it, and then everybody loves that shit. So he's like the most popular guy at that party, and everybody's like jealous because he goes to the makeout room with these two girls, and they're like, "Oh my god." They're like, "Did they just go in there with him?" I'm so jealous, and it's like he's been a nerd his whole 4 years, and this one night, everybody loves him. And what ends up happening there is, he kinda has a heart-to-heart with Mike. Mike apologizes for what he's done to him, he kinda regrets it a little bit, and then he ends up the cops show up. That's also a thing that happens, like, the cops show up, everybody runs, and, they Mike and him run off to the pool house, but Will is just like, "Oh, shit, something about the pool house, I forgot, um, I'm supposed to warn him, I need to stop him." He doesn't make it in time, he tries to tell his friends. His friends lost their flashlights off the roof, and, he gets chloroformed and put in this compromising position with Mike, and they take Polaroids. And then because the cops are there, they leave him. The cops show up and grab them, and that also gets resolved the next day. But I'm like, that's fucked up. Y'all left y'all friend. Well, they didn't realize that he was their friend until they took the Polaroid. So they're like, oh shoot, this was this was our guy. Also, there's a really funny thing happening throughout the movie where this guy he's just stealing stuff. He's just going throughout and stealing stuff. And it escalates to a point where he steals a cop car. It's just like, what the hell? He's funny as fuck. He's played by Chris Owen, who apparently was in the American Pie series of films. um, I'm like, what has he done recently? I'm trying to see. I'm trying to see. Something called Money Game. I don't know. He's doing stuff. He's doing stuff, and that's what's important. I'm like, I always love when people are still doing things like acting and whatnot. And so and to start off from that, so Will wakes up in jail. And he's like, shit, I hope my parents are okay. I bet they're really mad at me. And the cop is just like, no, they're really concerned with you. That Mike kid said that he got you really drunk and forced you to do all this crazy stuff. So they're just more concerned about your well being. And it's like, oh, Mike did something nice and like covered for Will. and, took the fall and everything. And, Will was like, "Oh wow, I guess I guess our relationship can be changed." And he runs into Mike at a cafe, at a diner. There we go. It's not a cafe, a diner. And he's with his jock friends, and Will is trying to sit down with them, and he's trying to thank him and stuff. And Mike says some nonsense bullshit. And we have these freeze frames that show how Mike becomes more successful and he's dating a model in the future and all this stuff. And I mean, no, no, no. Oh my God. Will becomes successful. He has a $40 million company now that he runs, and he's dating a model. Mike is the one who ends up getting drunk, dropping out of school because he loses his scholarship, and in general just has a miserable life after high school. I'm like, damn, to peak in high school. And I'm like, I'm 33 now, and I haven't really thought about the people I knew. Like, I haven't thought about high school in any means at all. And I'm not even really around the people I went to high school with either. Like, I follow them on Facebook, fucking website I never go on. I have to change my name on there because it still has my dead name on there and shit. And a fucking photo of me from 10 years ago. Like, it's really outdated. I'm like, I don't even look like this anymore. It is really fascinating because I think, like, when you learn about puberty and everything like that, it feels, or like how it was taught to me, I felt like, you go through puberty and then your body would kind of just stop changing. And it's like, no, like, my chest definitely got bigger in my mid 20s, and I've like widened a bit. Like, I'm definitely a bigger person than I was in my 20s, and definitely when I was in high school. And I'm like, of course you are. Like, of course this would happen because you're an adult. You're not going to look like your teen self for the rest of your life. Like, that's not how any of that works, because as you age, you're going to go through different like, your mobility is gonna change, your fuck, what is it called? Things are gonna change, and your body's gonna adjust and change to, support you, and that's the reality. And it's like, oh yeah, there's a good reason to not try to get, breast implants or whatever when you're, like, a fucking teenager, because you're gonna grow into them. Like, that's just you're gonna continue to grow, and you're gonna grow into them and have like more of a womanly body, quote unquote, as you age, because that is the reality. But a big thing to remember and always think about is like looking at the people in your family to have a general idea of what to expect as you get older, because at the end of the day, celebrities are celebrities. Performers and celebrities are who they are, and they look a particular way, but they're not related to you in any regard. So even if someone's like, this is what I do to look the way I do, that's just not going to work for you. That's not like a one size fits all regimen, like, you really got to look at your actual family to understand, like, okay, yes, I know this is how it works with my body. Like, shit is gonna affect people differently. And I will say that you can definitely work out into a body that you want, especially if you're like, okay, I want my ass to look bigger, and my chest to look bigger. Like, you can literally do like squats and shit, and like exercises that target those places in order to sort of create the kind of body that you want. And I'm like, that's across the board too. Because I'm like, yeah, look at like any guy that does like weightlifting and stuff, it's like, look at how big their titties are. Like, that's crazy. And it's like you're just doing chest press and stuff, or like dumbbell presses or whatever. And it's like, yeah. And so because the muscles behind the breast tissue are now more toned, your chest will look bigger. It'll feel bigger too because they are, and also making sure you fucking eat too, because I'm like, if you want particular things, your body can't just take from nothing. It has to take from, the things that you're putting into it. But I don't want to talk too much about that. Okay, so we had the resolution with Mike and William. Going back to Preston, he talks to Denise. Next day, he's about to leave. He's just like, "Are you really going to be with that guy?" And she's like, "Oh, I'll see how it goes." And they have like they're also in the diner, and they have like a freeze frame of like, she broke up with him 5 minutes later, and then another freeze frame that's like, and 10 minutes later they hook up in some place. And it's like, okay, they're gonna be on and off. And then we saw the klepto guy steal one of those like candy machines, and it's like, how the hell are you getting that out of there and nobody's noticing? You're funny. um and then so Preston makes it to, like, I guess the train station or whatever the fuck. It looks like a train station. Amanda shows up and she's like, "Hey, sorry, I read your note, and this was touching, heartfelt to me." And Preston's like, "Well, I'm leaving." And they kind of separate, and then he chases after her and he's like, "Actually, I could take a later train, so maybe we can hang out or something." And then they have a lovely freeze frame that's like, they are long distance or whatever, and they end up marrying later on, and they stay together forever type shit. I'm like, that's cute and wholesome. And I feel like those are the four main plots. And we do get freeze frames for the other characters, which is funny. And oh my god, there is a whole scene where one of Seth Green's like cronies says the N-word in a group of black people, and they all chase him and want to beat him up because, yeah. And but then also, this is when the cops show up at the house party, so they all end up just running away. Oh man, I'm on their Wikipedia and there's like a mid-credits scene that I've never seen. I'm like, oh my god, I have to bring it up because apparently William's two friends get beamed up by a flying saucer, and I'm like, what do you mean they get beamed up by a flying saucer? I haven't seen this ever. And I'm like, I've mainly watched the movie on TV and now just Tubi, so now I'm gonna have to go watch it to see this mid-credit scene. I'm like, what do you mean I've missed a mid-credit scene for like 20 years or something crazy? Um, but yeah, that was that movie. It was pretty. I'm like, it's kind of feel good. It's really simple. I'm like, I do love a very simple movie of just something, a character has a plan, tries to execute the plan, and it happens over a night. I feel like the latest thing I watched, or the most recent thing I can think of, is that's similar, is Good Time, although that was way more anxiety inducing, and I saw that in theaters when I worked in a theater, and that has Robert Pattinson in it, and he's like trying to get his brother out on bail. And oh my god, like, what a fucking night for him. That was crazy. And yeah, no, that was a lot. But going back to Not Another Teen Movie, so the things that they kind of parody and allude to, of course, Like, yes, it is a parody. It takes its plot from 10 Things I Hate About You, Can't Hardly Wait, She's All That, Pretty in Pink, and Varsity Blues, but it alludes to American Beauty, American Pie, the Bring It On series, Can't Buy Me Love, Cruel Intentions, Dazed and Confused, Fast Times in Ridgemont High, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Grease, Jawbreaker, Lucas, Never Been Kissed, Risky Business, Road Trip, Rudy, 16 Candles. And they even had the vice principal from Breakfast Club, Paul Galston, come in, and also Molly Ringwald did a parody. She did a cameo in this, which was so funny. But I'm like, it's such a good movie. But in general, I'm like, yeah, I do. It's not that I want to watch teens or anything, or like, because I kind of try to stay away from watching watching and reading stuff that involves like teen main characters, mainly because I'm gonna get frustrated because the characters are written to act like teenagers, which means they don't really know too much, and they might get into situations that are, you know, frustrating because there's a lack of communication or something down the line. I'm like, I'm anticipating that. And, typically I'm also like, I'm an adult. I'm wanting to see attractive adults do stuff so that I can have like some sort of, not a parasocialness about it, but like just like oh yeah, this person is attractive. Now I want to watch more stuff with them because I think they're attractive. And I'm not really going to do that with someone who is designed to be a teen. Like that's weird to me. Like I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, that's definitely a across the board type of situation too. I'm like, I don't care if it's a man or a woman. I'm like, I'm watching this because I think y'all are attractive and you're good actors and y'all take on interesting roles. Like Robert Pattinson is crazy, but he always picks up on like an interesting role or um something like it's kind of a lot. But and I find him attractive. He's like kind of weird looking. But he is attractive. And Tessa Thompson is another good one. Like she's a phenomenal actor. I did not watch any of her Marvel movies, but I've watched her stuff outside of Marvel. I mean, I've literally talked about two of her movies as of recently. And but it's like from the outside looking inward, I'm thinking about the lack of these kinds of movies for teens and how just in general there's like a lack of teen media, cuz I'm like, even though I am an adult and I'm not seeking this shit out, I am usually advertised in a way of like upcoming stuff. Like there's like the whole that summer I turned pretty or whatever. I've seen how popular that is, even though I've like not watched it at all and I don't plan on watching it. Um and I'm like, okay, so where is, like, is Nickelodeon doing stuff? It's something that I want to like look into and research, and then I'll probably talk about it. Like, I'm not going to do some fucking generalization of like Gen Z, Gen Alpha type shit. Um, but it is something I noticed, and I also think it's really interesting that people were kind of feeling away or kind of criticizing Greg Araki's "I Want Your Sex" and how he's like, I heard that Gen Z aren't having sex, so I made a movie to kind of sort of inspire them, or like push them and try to understand the situation. And people weren't taking that with like good faith. And then on the flip side, you have a movie about basically a sex purge day where single people can only have sex on one day of the year. And that feels more mean spirited, you know? Like it's so interesting. And I'm like, there's this whole culture of compliance and not wanting to be seen, or at least like seen by like a camera, because you'll get posted on socials in some kind of way. And I'm like, I've definitely missed that sort of thing of my peers using social media to antagonize me or bully me or whatnot. And it's just in general, like even without that, seeing how the policing of each other can happen where someone is just filming strangers in public and then posting it, and then all of a sudden somebody has to figure out where these people work and like tell on them for some reason because they're publicly making out or something. And it's like, okay, what's wrong with that? It's so weird. I'm like, people need to kill the cop in their minds. And there's this policing that happens so much, not only in that regard, but like in the queer community. Like there was this whole fucking thing that was going on for the last few days on Twitter of like someone being like, where is the butch in this couple? And it's like, y'all are so fucking strict around here. I'm like, just because I'm like, is it really wrong for a butch to dress feminine sometimes? Like, what? Why are y'all acting like a butch person has to always be masculine all the time? It's so weird. I'm like, why are y'all policing? Like, why are y'all policing these people and acting like these labels aren't used to describe someone and how they feel and not the end all be all to a person's identity and dress, you know? Like that's fucking I don't like that. We need to stop policing people. People need to kill the cop in their minds and stop um being upset, cuz I'm like these labels are just here to describe someone and help another person understand that person's identity. It doesn't like just because they're, you know, dressing in a way that doesn't match how you go through your life as a butch person, assuming you're a butch person, doesn't mean that that just somehow lessens the terminology in any kind of way. Because I'm like, there's so many different. Ah, I don't know. This shit pisses me off, but I'm gonna end it there. I knew this one would be kind of an hour long because I plan on doing like a mm, maybe bigger, larger video essay about like teen movies and the death of like stoner flicks even, because I was like, oh damn, I haven't seen like a stoner in a movie in a long time, or it felt like a long time. And uh just purity culture in general. And yeah, that'll be all. You can find me on Instagram at V underscore noir underscore. Check out my podcast archive at www.nwwitapod.com and support me on Patreon at patreon.com/V noirs film club. The noir in both the Instagram and Patreon have an E, and that'll be all. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.